Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, thank you so much for being here. Today's video is a departure from what I normally do since it is a bit of a color along. And what I'm doing is I had one page completed from a double page spread from Hanna Karlzon's Daydreams book. So you can watch me and color along with me as I color the opposite facing page, and you can take those techniques to color the other page that I've already completed as well. This was a request from Amy, so she is ABCD Belongs on Instagram, so thank you, Amy. And what I'm going to do is drop description, in the description I'm going to drop chapters, so little timestamps, so you can jump around. The video is an hour and a half, so it's very long, but that way you can watch in segments to see, you know, I just click on this part to see how I color the leaves or the houses or whatever, then you can watch it in chunks and different pieces as you go. So I don't have anything else more to say to that other than I'll see you on the other side, and I really hope you enjoy this. Bye-bye. All right, let's get started. So here is a page I actually colored when I was back home at my parents' house for over Father's Day weekend. And I think I showed a preview or a work in process of this on my Instagram story, and one of my followers, Amy, if you're watching, you, from ABCD Belongs on Instagram, said, hey, when do we get to learn how to do this? And so I thought, you know what, there are so many times when I color a page like this and then I just post it and don't really think about sharing these techniques, because I don't really do color alongs on this channel. They take a long time. I'm not sure if there's a real appetite for these. So I just have kind of shied away from them. But what I thought I could do, I haven't colored this page yet, this side of it. I've only done the background. So I thought I could, over the next week, film little snippets of videos of me completing this page, because this did take a long time and I won't be able to do it in one sitting. So I'll do that and I'll share that with you guys. But I did want to share it with you because for a couple of reasons. So this kind of dovetails into how I pick my colors. So you can see I'm using a limited palette for sure. And then also just some of my shading techniques, like on the flowers and things like that. One thing I haven't done yet is colored the little bugs. I don't know how I'm going to do them yet. And there's also bugs on this side of the page. So I'll probably go back and do all of those at the same time. So with that said, let's get started. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the background. So this is a Neocolor 2 background. And here are the 5 colors I use. This is from the set of, I believe it's 30. Looking here at the box, I think it's the set of 30, whatever the smaller set is, 30 or 40. It's pink, purple, and I've got ochre for the sort of gold color, brown, and then black. And you can see here, and I'll put these in the description so you guys don't have to pause the video and write these down. What I did was I used a number 10 paintbrush, and I just colored everything in, wet the brush, and just scooted the brush along to just sort of mash the colors together. In the smaller areas, I have a number, this is a number 4. I chose the number 10 because I watch Jen's Coloring Corner, who to me is the master of Neocolors, and she always uses a number 10. So if Jen uses a number 10, I'm going to use a number 10. Why reinvent the wheel? Anyway, so I apologize that I don't have any, that work is already done. But what I did do, you can see how this background looks more saturated and brighter than this one. So as I colored through this page, I added color, extra color with my Prismacolor. So this is done with Prismacolor Premieres. I will try to put some color conversions out there for you guys. So that's the Neocolor part. And then what I did at the end was I added a little black just to kind of frame the page. And I think it gives it a nice frame at the end. So this page here is done with only 4 color combos. This doesn't include the way I did the house. But the main flower, let's see, this guy right here is done with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors. So that's a 5 color combo. this flower is 1, 2, 3, 4 colors. And then all the leaves are done with my favorite, not my favorite, but one of my runner-up favorite green color combos, chartreuse, lime peel, and kelp. So you'll see me using these in different variations. So you can see here that on this flower here, I colored light to dark, but on this flower, I reversed it and went dark to light. My stepdaughter looked at these flowers and said, "Oh, how pretty, you included dead flowers." I just paused for effect there. They're not dead flowers. This book is called Daydreams. So I invent, it's a daydream. It's fantastical colors. So I don't know, maybe they are dead, but in the world of Kim, they're not dead. So whatever, that's all right. It was funny. We had a good laugh over that. Okay, so I'm going to get my pencils and we'll get started on this big flower here and we'll color that together. I'll be right back. As we said before, this flower is a 5-color combo. So the very first color we're going to start out with is Blush Pink PC 928. So what I'll do is I'll color maybe these 2 petals and then I will speed color the rest of this flower. So here we go. So as you know the way I'd color, I like to color light to dark. So we're going to start out with the Blush Pink and I'll just bring that color around. And then the next color is Hot Pink PC 993. And just kind of feather it into the Blush Pink a little bit. Then we'll have Process Red, which is PC 994. And then what I did to this color combo to just make it kind of different, I added brown to the bottom, which might seem kind of weird, but I like to do weird things with colors. So if you've been watching me for a while, you know that's sort of my MO around here. If the colors are weird, I'm probably gonna try it. So you can see that what's nice is this burnt ochre actually blends pretty nicely into this hot pink. And then we will anchor it with dark brown down here at the bottom. And then I'll start to burnish that and make that a little darker. Okay, and now I'm gonna go back up. Burnt ochre. Now, if you're looking at this page, you can see I've got Neocolors going over the lines all over the place. And it's okay because I just take my colored pencil right over that and it's totally fine. So I don't stress out about stuff like that. I try not to. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect though. I do have, in spite of my video, is coloring stressing you out? Yes, I still get stressed out a lot over coloring. I try not to. Okay, so now we're back with the hot pink, and I'm really just trying to blend that down and blend these colors together, especially with the 5-color combo. You wanna make sure you don't get little stripes in here. And then we'll top it off with the blush pink at the end. Okay, so there we go. So there's petal number 1. And now we'll go ahead and do this next petal right here. Make sure I'm still in camera for you guys. So blush pink, hot pink, process red, burnt ochre, and then dark brown. Oopsie. Okay, now we're just gonna go back up the other way here. Get the hot pink up here. And then we'll top it off with the blush pink. Okay, so now we have the first two petals complete on this flower. So what I'm going to do is speed color the rest of these petals. And actually, in here, it looks like I missed, oh, I guess that's part of that petal. I can't decide if that's petal or background, so I'm gonna make it part of the petal. So I'll speed color this part, the petals, and I'll be back to walk you through something else right after that. So enjoy. So here we have all of the petals colored in. So what I'm going to do now is take a black Prismacolor pencil, and we're going to start adding shadows where some of these leaves overlap. So you can see here, we've got two leaves, petals overlapping right here. So I'm just going to kind of gently color that in. And one thing I did, I switched over from blush pink to regular pink. I realized this was a lot lighter than what I had on the facing page, and I figured that I must have written down the combo incorrectly, but it's really pink, not blush pink, so my apologies, everybody. So we're adding that shadow there. We're going to add a shadow all along behind this petal here. And that's really what's going to add the extra dimension to this page. Just these little bitty bits that go a long way. I'm going to use the burnt ochre to kind of feather that in. Okay. We're going to add shadow behind this guy here. We already have a little bit of a shadow with the dark brown that we put in, but we're just going to add a little bit more with the black. Okay. And then where we have these little folds of the petal, we're going to add just the tiniest bit of a little bit of shadow there. And again, we're just going to smudge it in with this pink. Okay. Now here we've got this petal overlapping this one. Oh, and by the way, I decided that's background, so we're going to go in and we'll shore that up to make it look more like background. So just adding a little black along this line here. Okay, let's see how that works. And then where the petal flops over, we'll add just a little bit here Not too terribly much there, but just enough. Okay, now we've got overlap here, actually all along this ridge. So I'm going to feather in a little black there. Okay. Now let's see where else. Here, just where all these little petals meet right in here, that's going to be a little bit darker, right? Okay. Hello. Brown, not pink. Okay. So then making sure I'm still in camera. Looks like I am. Okay, this petal here overlaps. And we'll just color a little shadow around there. Okay. Then we're going to have overlap up here with this one right here. Okay. And this is, again, something that's so easy to do. And it adds so, it's like a little, it's kind of like when you just paint a wall in your house and it has such a big bang, like a big impact, and it's something that was so easy and inexpensive, hopefully. And it has just such, it makes such a big difference. So you can already see here how nice that's looking. Or maybe you don't think it looks nice. To me, it looks nice, but you know, art's in the eye of the beholder. And you don't have to do this step if you don't want to. It's all personal preference. Okay, this is a really big flower, so we just had a lot going on this one. Add a little bit there. Okay. And we've got this little floppy end of the petal. Add that, and it's already kind of smeared in there. And then this guy right here. And you don't have to be so heavy-handed with the black. Again, I say that this always goes back to personal preference. This is just going to match the facing page and how I colored it. Okay, so I think we've got all of our, nope, wait, I missed one here. Okay, when you do something like, oh, that's actually, I thought I made a mark there. That's actually part of the illustration. Okay. Alrighty. So now what I'm going to do is go over the rest of the line art with my black. And I did this on the facing page. And I think it just helps this pop out just a little bit better. You could use any, you could use the dark brown if you wanted to. If you wanted to come in and use like a red, you could do that. Doesn't matter. But I always like to go back over the original illustration because I tend to fade and smear away the original line art with the way I color because I color so heavy. You could even do this with a white gel pen or a white Posca pen if you wanted to make it look magical. Okay. And if you don't have a steady hand, just go slow. My hand definitely isn't as steady as it used to be as I get older. I'm not as spry as I used to be. Okay. Here we go. And what I will do I will eventually come back and outline, excuse me, all of the petals once I have everything around it colored. So what I wanted to do now is show you guys what I do to shore up the Neocolors. So you can see here how, let me make sure I'm in the camera. I think so, yeah. Excuse me. So you can see here how this just blends. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this, this is goldenrod, which is a combo I use on the yellowish flowers. And I'm going over the pink Neocolor with goldenrod, so that will add a little separation, and I'll just kind of feather it up so it sort of fades out. But that adds a little variety and separation from pink, so the pink doesn't fade into the background there. And then I will just add it here. And then down here we're fine. And again, over here where maybe it's a little pink, we can add a little goldenrod and just sort of fade that out, just to kind of give it, like I said, a little separation. And anywhere where I have little white outlines where I might have missed something, I'll go back and add pencil over that. So that's why when I was painting the Neocolor 2s, I wasn't too neat because I knew I would be going back and probably doing something like this. Now on this one here, since I've got the brown right there, I'm going to add a little more pink. But this is how eventually my Neocolor background on the facing page over here, let me zoom back out, got to be so saturated because I went back over with pencil. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I've got, let's see, trying to see how many other flowers like this that I have. 1, 2, for sure. So I will probably color these off camera and then come back and we'll pick up another kind of flower. Now that I've got these 3 flowers completed, what I'm going to do is go back and shore up the background. So I'll start over here, and that's a little pinky. So I'm going to throw in some goldenrod to make it a little orangey. And like I said, that's going to just add a little bit of separation, and it also brightens up this area over here on the page. Okay, then I will do the same down here. We'll add some yellow. You know, so when I was putting the Neocolors down, I just blobbed color all over the, oops, that's actually a petal. I just blobbed color all over the place and didn't really, you know what, I'm gonna leave it. Didn't really care where it went because I didn't know what colors I was even gonna use for the page. So I just picked my Neocolors first, and then from that, I created my color combos. So we'll add a little orange up here. And one thing you can do too, so like here I've got some Neocolor. Sometimes you can hit that with one of these high-powered erasers and it will take it right off too. So that's going to be a lighter beige color, so I don't want to color over that if I can avoid it. Okay, so now let's see, down here I've got some gaps in the yellow, so I'm going to just kind of color those in. This right here is way too blenderly, so I'm going to try to, by that I mean that like the pink is blending right in with that background. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm going to try to add that yellow. I thought this part was weird, this line. I don't understand, because this isn't a petal and that's not a petal, so there's just a weird line right there, but okay, whatever. And let me look. I think that's it for these flowers for now. And I also, like I did, I added the shadow to these and then the outline, but not the final outline around the edge. We'll do that last. Okay, next up, we are going to color the yellow and brown flowers. So I'll be right back. So now we're going to start working on some of these yellow and brown flowers over here on this side of the page. So let me zoom in. What I want to do, oops, sorry about that, guys. Okay, I'm standing up trying to do this with my camera. Okay, here we go. So maybe that zoomed in just a little too far. All right, so what I'm going to do, oops, so on this one right here, make sure that's, yeah, you can see how it's got a little of the pink. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make that a darker flower. So this is where you can use your color combo in your favor. So for these flowers, it's 4 colors. I've got dark brown, burnt ochre, chestnut, and goldenrod. So we'll start out with the dark brown. I'll just put that down here. And that way it covers up that little pink, oops. And you can see that some of these span across the other page. So it might be a little hard to go over that crease. We'll get there in a second. So then the next color we're going to pull is the, I believe, the chestnut, which is a little darker. We're going to take that chestnut into the dark brown. And you can see here, sometimes I work on multiple petals at the same time. We'll kind of lightly feather that up a little bit. Next is the burnt ochre. And again, bring that down into the chestnut. You can see this is such a pretty combo. I really like this one. And then lastly, the goldenrod. And be sure and bring that goldenrod down over the burnt ochre, which will really warm that up even more. So what we'll do is we'll go back in. We'll start at the bottom again. And now I'm going to start burnishing. Again, I know this is where I break traditional Prisma rules. Prismas usually work best when you lay down several very soft, gentle layers. I'm an impatient colorer, so I usually do 2, maybe 3 layers. But I go ahead and just jump right to the burnishing. And burnishing again means you're blending by pressing down hard with your pencil. You could also do this with a blender pencil or some Gamsol odorless mineral spirits. There's lots of different ways you can blend your colors together. So now here I'm back on the burnt ochre. And sometimes the paper will kind of help tell you how many layers you need. So this kind of paper that's sort of tough and can take it, I can just, you know, burnish right away. But sometimes when you have very textury paper, like sometimes Amazon paper can be very textury, it might take multiple layers. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we'll move on to these other petals. And I'm going to speed color this one for you, and I'll be right back. Now that that's done, and I really had to fight that little crease right there. I probably should have picked one more in the center for you. I'm going to color the stamen. So I'm going to use my pink and processed red. So hopefully you can see here, I'm reusing colors from the other flower that we colored above here, or right up here, to kind of keep the continuity of the color palette going. So what I'll do is I'll put the pink on the ends, and then I'll put the processed red in the very middle. Real easy peasy. You can see I'm just kind of smearing it around. I'm not really going with all the shapes. And then I go back over it one last time to blend it in with the pink. So now The next thing that we'll do is I'll grab my black pencil and we're going to do our outline and our shadows. So there's going to be a shadow right here. I'm going to do the outlines first. This one looks like it overlaps this guy over here. This one overlaps there. Here we're going to have a little overlap. And here, a little bit of overlap. Okay, now let me I'm going to use my yellow ochre to smudge the shadows, which also kind of lightens it up a little bit. Okay, there you go. So that is a brown flower. And if you wanted to, oh wait, whoops, I forgot to do the outlines here. Uh-oh. It's okay. You know what? No one's going to notice that, except y'all. Oh wait, that's another petal right there maybe. Yeah, I forgot to do this one. Again, just kind of fighting that crease a little bit. Good enough. Close enough for government work, isn't that what they say? Good enough. Okay, so there you go. So now let's move to, let's see. I've got to stand up here. Let's do this flower. And this flower will be the opposite. We're going to go yellow down into the dark brown. So we'll start out with the goldenrod. So as you can see, I just use the same process over and over. We'll do 3 leaves. Now here, you can take your eraser and try to erase some of that pink. You don't have to erase all of it, but you can probably get most of it, quite a bit of it, if you wanted to. You don't have to. That's one way to clean this up. Okay, now the burnt ochre. Bring in the chestnut. And then the dark brown at the very bottom. I guess this might take on more of a pansy look with that very dark center to the petal. Okay, bring the burnt ochre back in. And bring a little bit up there in the middle. I made this petal a little brown heavy, so I'm going to stop the burnt ochre a little lower than where it looks like I should. So now we'll blend it all together with the goldenrod. You can come all the way down, just really blend those colors together, pressing down hard. Same thing here. You can see the eraser kind of added a little, took away some of the texture of the page there, but that's okay. That might look like a little flower imperfection. Okay, so what I will do now is speed color the rest of this flower, and I'll be right back. right, so there you go. So now you've got the brown flower and then the yellow flower. So I'm going to, off camera, complete the rest of these flowers that look the same. There is a third flower on this page, which is this guy right here. And I will do that tutorial in just a second. But first I will speed color these off camera and I will be right back. What do you think? How does it look? So one other thing that I did real quick off camera was I went in and picked up these little flowers just in the interest of saving time. It's the same color combo, almost as the dark brown. It's just the dark brown, the burnt ochre, and then I alternated the processed red and the goldenrod for the center of the flowers, and that's it. So I just did all those little bitty flowers, kind of like over here, and just knocked those out real quick. Now, one other thing that I did is, oh my gosh, if you can hear my garage door, I'm sorry. My husband is leaving for work. On the flowers that are not touching anything else, I went ahead and started doing the black outline. So not just the inside for those shadows like we've been doing down here, but I went ahead and grabbed, no, there's a spot I missed, the black outline there. So over here, like on this flower, let me see if I need to zoom in real quick for you guys. Oops. Okay. We can grab this and outline it, and then I'll just stop. Well, I guess I have to stop because the line stops. But if it's not touching anything else that I'm going to color, like here I'm going to be coloring the house. So I'm going to wait and do the outline last so that as I'm doing this lighter French gray, it's not going to pick up and drag that dark outline up into the house. So I'll do that last on that one. But here, I can go ahead and outline this part here. So I'll go back and start shoring up these outlines where I can. My fear is that I'd get to the end of the video and I would have done it, and then y'all would have been like, when did you do the outlines? So I'm just kind of doing it as I see places where I can pick it up and draw it in. And, you know, that's one of the finishing things too, is, you know, as we've talked about how to finish your pages before. And one of the things you can do is add like the white Posca highlights and things like that. But this is another finishing thing that I do. But for a page like this, sometimes I just do it as I go. It makes it a little easier. Then it doesn't feel so overwhelming at the end. Okay, one thing I want to get real quick is this little piece right here. See how that took some of the Neocolor away when I just did that? So I'm going to come back in with my goldenrod. And that's the other thing too, is that I can kind of go in now and like if we look up here on this flower, there are some little pieces where the Neocolors didn't really lay down, you know, or whatever. I was just kind of sloppy and didn't do a very good job. So if I have like little white spaces or even just little gaps of color, I'll go in with my pencils and shore that stuff up too as I go. So that's something else I'm doing throughout the process. All right, so the next thing I want to do is we're going to pick up these flowers. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So we'll color this one. This is going to be, make sure I'm in camera. It's hard to do. My camera's above me. Okay. We're going to do this one in the same color combo as the bigger pink flower here, where we will start out with pink, then go to hot pink, processed red, burnt ochre, and then dark brown. So let's get started, and I'll do a few of the petals here with you on camera, and then like previously, I will speed color the rest of this flower, and then I'll do the other flowers off camera so that this video just doesn't get to be too long. Oops, not doing that one. And actually, I think, yeah. Okay, so one other thing too, you can see how the background is pink here. So we're gonna go in with the goldenrod and try to maybe make that a little more orange to add separation from the flower so it doesn't fade in into the background. Okay, gonna add the darker part in the very center. Oops, I actually just colored over background. That's okay, I don't care. No one's going to notice that that was background and should have been pink. All right, going back up to the top, and we're just blending into the color below, feathering it up a little bit, picking up the hot pink. And again, I'm just doing two layers of colors, and that's it. Just pressing down really hard as I go. And again, that's because I just, I get impatient and I just want to color my page and be done with it. So, okay. All right, so now I'm going to take this is my goldenrod, and I'm just going to start coloring in around the background a little bit. You see how it sort of warms up that pink and adds a little separation there? And that's, you know, like I said, just because of how, oops, that place was missed completely. When I put the Neocolors down, I had no idea what color combos I was going to be using. So this is my way of just kind of correcting as I go. And even right in here, I might make that a brighter pink later, but we'll see. It just kind of depends on what mood I'm in. But I think if we look at this facing page, oops, over here, I certainly colored in a lot more of the darker pink. So I'll probably do the same over here to make that match a little bit more. Okay, so that said, I'm going to, actually let me do one more thing. I'm gonna see if I can remove some of the Neocolor stuff here. Doesn't really matter because it's pink that I got on the petals, and it's gonna be pink that I'm coloring with. All right, that said, I'm going to speed color this flower and be right back. Now what I'm going to do is take my goldenrod and color in the stamen here. And then I'm going to take my burnt ochre and just add a little bit of color here and there. Oops, can y'all hear the jar shaking on my table? Okay, so just, you know, little imperfections, nothing too solid. Okay, there we go. Now I will take my black and we will start to outline this guy here and do our shading. So let me get the outlines going first. This one I could probably outline. The places where this is touching the leaves, I will leave that and come back for those. Okay. Let's see here. So let me start adding my little shadowed areas. And there's a little shadow here. Definitely a shadow on this petal here. It's kind of hard sometimes to figure out which one's overlapping the other one. It really doesn't matter. You can just pick one. I'm going to use my hot pink to sort of start blurring these little shadowed areas. Okay. Here we've got Another outline. Looks like this leaf is the one behind these two. I keep saying leaves, petals. You know what I mean. And it is easy to get heavy-handed with the black, as you can see I'm doing here. But that hot pink will help smear out and balance that out a little bit. You could always go back and erase if you feel like you went a little too far. And that the Prismas are pretty forgiving with an eraser, I've found. Trust me, I know. Okay, this guy, we can go ahead and outline all of him. Oops, look, I missed a little flower there. That just means I have an opportunity to show you guys how I colored that one. Okay. It's kind of tricky when I am filming and I can't necessarily turn the book like I would in real life, as if I were just coloring it on my own on my little desk here. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in and pick up these other little lines. Now something you could do here would be to highlight these lines again with like a white Posca or a white gel pen. I'm choosing to not Posca this page because I will show you I over Posca'd the page before this one. Oops, that went a little too far with all the Posca. Let me see if I can zoom out. So not my favorite page, but there you go. Okay, now let me see if I can zoom back in on the little flower here that I missed. Let me get my pencils. Okay, so we're gonna do this one right here. So what I did was I colored the center first. Then I took the burnt ochre and I just kind of colored it in a circle like this around the center. And then I went back in with the darker brown, also known as dark brown. Okay. And then back with the burnt ochre. Now on these little flowers, I haven't been doing any black outlines. I don't know why, I just haven't, and I'm okay with that. I see little pieces of the background that I missed here, so I'm going to start coloring those in. And then one last thing I want to do, again, is take the goldenrod along this flower here. We could probably outline this one. There we go. Again, just add a little separation. I'm not going to go too far over here because then I'm bringing the yellow into the yellow. So just a little bit, not a ton. And I guess over here it doesn't really matter because that's kind of dark enough. But still trying to get those little areas that might look like they have white gaps. Okay, so now I'm going to color the rest of these off camera. And then I will be right back after that. What do you think? Next thing I want to do is color some of the leaves. We'll start on those and then we'll come back after that and we'll pick up these little rosebuds. Then we'll do the houses and then the bugs and the gemstones after that. So let me zoom in. Oops. And let's do, let me find a good one. Let's do this leaf right here. That's a good one. Okay, so I've got 3 pencils I'm going to use. Chartreuse, lime peel, and kelp. And what I'm going to do is go dark kind of inward. So I'll start with the lightest color on the inside of the leaf. And that's going to give it kind of a glow or a reflection, I guess. So there's the chartreuse. Then I'll take the lime peel. And with the lime peel, I'll color up into the chartreuse. Okay. And aren't her bugs just so cute the way she draws them? I think they're adorable. Okay, then kelp. And try to be careful, even though there's not too much of that little bug leg overlapping there. Okay. And again, I have some Neocolor that overlapped sloppily onto the leaf, but because I'm coloring it darker around the edges, I'm not going to worry about really cleaning that up too much. So I'm going to bring this darker color up just a little bit more before I start burnishing. Sort of frame it a little bit better. Okay, so now I'm going to press a little harder. I'm going to go first right along the edges here. Get rid of any residual grainy spots. Get my little makeup brush. Okay, come along here. And again, you can see how it gets rid of that Neocolor overlap. It's totally fine. And that's the thing too, when we make little mistakes like that, people aren't looking at one little spot, they're looking at the whole page. It's you're the one looking at the little spot, beating yourself up, and don't do that. That's a waste of your time. You deserve better than that. It's kind of like a Monet, I always say, or so they say, if you look at it from afar, it's gorgeous. If you look at it up front and close, it's kind of a mess. So that's kind of how my pages are. And I only hope they look gorgeous from afar. Sometimes they really don't, like the page I showed you before. So, okay, so that was the kelp. Now I'm going to go back to the lime peel. And like I said, I am filming this these videos over several days, usually before I start my work day for my day job. So it's probably a good thing you can't see me on camera. Okay, and then chartreuse. Okay, let me feather a little more kelp in here to get rid of, if I can, some of the striping. By striping, I mean that distinct line where it looks like instead of fading into the next color, it just looks very delineated. Delineated, is that a word? Looks very separated. And we'll just smudge, smudge, smudge. That's a little bit better. Okay, so next I want to come in and clean up some of the Neocolors around this. Maybe use the side of my pencil, make it a little more vibrant in here. And then lastly, you knew it was coming, the black outline. And the leaves are so easy to do on this page. There's just a million of them, so it's very time consuming. But boy, that pop of green really makes a nice difference with this page. It's not so, it really balances that pink and goldenrod and brown look. Okay, bring this up here. Going a little slower, not being perfect. Okay, and also now that we've colored the part that's touching this flower, I can go back over these petals here. I probably should sharpen this black pencil a little bit. And there you go. So that's our leaf there. I'm going to do all the leaves pretty much the same. If we zoom out. Let's see if I can zoom back out. And we look over here, you can see that like here, I put the lighter chartreuse here in the middle and worked my way out. So it's constantly the same, light in the center, dark on the outside. So I'm going to color the rest of the leaves off camera, and then I will be right back. Now all the leaves are done. You can see I went ahead and outlined in black, did all the little leaves everywhere all over here. One thing I did cover off camera, since it was tiny and I didn't bring you guys along with me, but I think it's real easy, is I did color the two buds. It's the same 4-color combo we used on the rest of the pink flower, so I think that was real easy. Went ahead and got those outlined. So the next thing we're gonna tackle are these houses. So let me zoom in real quick. Oops, sorry, I have to stand up to zoom with my setup here. I want to make sure I've got this in camera really well for y'all. Okay, I think that's good. So what we're gonna do, excuse me, oh my goodness. You can see here, these are done in French grays. So what I tried to do was find something neutral. Normally my go-to is a cool gray, but since this is such a warm page, I think the French grays really tackle the job. So we're going to use bright yellows for the windows, pinks on the roof, and French grays for the rest. So that said, let's go ahead and get started. So what I will do first is pull out this is Spanish orange. And I'm going to use this to color in the little windows. So what I will do is I will color this section here with you guys, then I will speed color this for you, and then I'll color the other two homes off camera. But it's all going to be the same process and formula. Excuse me, I'm a little froggy this morning. So as I'm filming this today, it's about 6:40 in the morning. I've been filming every day, each little segment at a different time. Like I said, these color alongs, God bless the people that do these all the time, because these really take a long time. Excuse me, and it's there's a lot to it. So I'm going to make this, oh, that looks like more of a light overhang than I was thinking. Maybe that was a little window pane, but it looks more like a little light. So what I'm going to do next, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm going to take my goldenrod, sharpen that real quick, and do the door. Okay, so here we go. What I'm going to do is take my 90% French gray. This is goldenrod, 90% French gray. And uh-oh, that tip just broke. Hang on, I'm going to sharpen this just a second. Had to pause the camera to do that since it broke at such a weird place. It was going to take a bit to sharpen it, and I didn't want... Your time is worth more than sitting here listening to me sharpen my pencils. Okay, so that just kind of gives that door a little bit of a shadow. And then the knob on the other doors I have is pink with my processed red. So I'll just try to make that. It's not perfect. It's kind of bigger than that doorknob. But there you go. So what I will do now is I'm going to start out with, I've got 20% French gray, 50% French gray, and 90%. So I'm going to start out with the 20% on the inside here. Looks like I got a little yellow there. Hang on for just a sec. That could be from the Neocolors. Yep, that's probably the Neocolors. Okay, not going to worry about it. So take the 20%. And then as we move out, we're going to dip into the 50%. Okay, so now we're going to take the 50% here. Let's see, that pink's going to be covered up with the 90%, so I'm not really worried about that. So as you can see, I try not to worry about too much. Again, when you're coloring a big page like this and you see tiny misses or places where you feel like you messed up, those are such small details. I don't think anybody is really paying attention to those because they just see the big picture. They're not focusing on the little spot that you missed. Or maybe one or two of you are, but it's really, you shouldn't worry about it. So we're going to take the 90% and come along this edge here. Give it a little bit of an outline. Okay. You know, that pink disappeared from the Neocolors. Okay, so now we're going to work our way back in. Bring in this 50%. We're not going to go in too far with it. Okay. All right, now back to the 20%. This is where we're really going to blend all of this together. And it makes a really nice transition there for us. And I'm going to carry the 20% up here. I'm not going to add too much shadow under these eaves. Normally I would. But for these little homes, I'm not. The book is Daydreams, so maybe shadows and light don't follow the normal properties of physics in this world. Maybe. Okay, so there's the main part of the tower. So you see it's real easy. Just a little bit of dark on the edges and then light in between. So now what I'm going to do is take the 90%, color these little decorative rooftop elements. And then, okay, the window panes. So this is kind of weird and goofy, but what I did on the window panes was I took a little bit of processed red, not everywhere on the window pane, but just like, most places. I think these little windows, I actually did it all 90% gray. Cool, I'm sorry, not 90%. 90% French gray, to be clear. And again, I will have all these color combos in the description for you. So now what I'm going to do is take this 90% and I'm going to kind of mix it up with this processed red. And what I was trying to go for was maybe a weathered look with the window panes, but just sort of making it a little inconsistent with the brown and the pink. So again, we're not going for perfection, just going for something that just looks a little different. Okay, there we go. So there's one window pane. Maybe add a little bit more brown there. And then same thing here. We'll take the 90% back over those window panes. I think this is probably the weirdest part of what I colored on this page. It's one of those things where I had a vision in my head and I started coloring it one way and then I didn't like it, so it ended up being kind of a mishmash. And sometimes those happy accidents happen. Sometimes they're not so happy, they're just accidents, but we just go with them and move on. Okay, so now I don't have a door like this colored on the other side, so I think what I'm going to do is we'll mix it up. We'll make this light with the 20%. Okay, then we're going to make this, it's a little lamp. And then maybe we'll make this pink. And then we'll add more, let's see, how do I want to do this? Maybe we'll use the 50% French gray to make it a little darker, to add a little, make it a little different from that. But now it's blending into the side wall, so we'll use the 90% gray again to add a little separation and outline there. And what we'll do on that one, so we're going to make this, let me go ahead and color this whole section with the 50%. And it's so easy to get caught up in all these little details and, oh my gosh, I don't know what color to use. Just go ahead and use the same colors. If you look at a home and you drive by, it might be the same color. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm so froggy this morning. I'm going to sort of feather the shadow on the outside to make it look like this little section pops out. We could probably do that more with the black than this. In fact, let me get the black out. And that might add a little bit more. Oh, see, I said black and I pulled dark brown, y'all. You're supposed to let me know when I make these mistakes. There we go. So add the black there. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a small little bitty detail. And then we'll take the 20% gray and just sort of smudge it out a little bit. Okay. And we will come back and, let me see. Go ahead and outline this while I'm here. Oops. My outlining skills are a little lacking this morning. Okay, I'm not going to outline the light because I'm afraid it's so small I would smudge the black into it. Okay, so now let's move on to the rooftop. So the rooftop had pinks and browns in it. So what I'm going to do is pretend like it's light and then move darker as I go to the outside. So I'm going to, let me see if I can move things around here on my desk. Tilt this a little bit to make it easier to color. Start out with the pink down the middle. And then we'll move to the hot pink right here. Just a little bit. And then we're really going to cover it with this processed red. And don't worry about the pink on pink because we're going to have French gray outlining this rooftop, and that's going to separate the two colors. So unlike like here where we added yellow to add separation between the pink here to make it more orangey, we don't need to worry about that so much here. Okay, so now I'm going to come back in with the pink, hot pink I mean, sorry. I don't think my brain is firing on all cylinders. I've been up since about 4. I'm an early riser, early to bed, early to rise. Yeah, so that, let's see. Let me get the 90% French gray. And now we're going to come in with an outline here. I say early to bed. So yeah, if you guys are looking for me on social media, I'm usually crawling into bed between 8:30 and 9. Maybe watch a little TV as I fall asleep. So if you try to reach out and you don't hear from me at night, that's why. But don't worry if you do, because I have everything on Do Not Disturb, so you won't be waking me up or bothering me. I don't know why I shared that. That was an odd detail to share, but there you go. Okay, so I want to make this a little bit darker here. All right. And then one thing I definitely want to do is clean up a little bit of that Neocolor there and maybe bring in my blush pink to make this just a little pinkier. This is where the Neocolors are sort of faded. And as I go along, I just kind of try to saturate it a little bit more with my pencils. Okay, so now what I will do is color the rest of this house. I'll speed color it. And then the other 2 houses I will color off camera. But it's all the same. So I will be right back with the speed color. Well, that is what I call a video fail. I didn't hit record. I thought I had hit record on the speed color, but I didn't. So what I'm going to do, I will speed color this little house up here for you guys so you can see my process. So here we go. Next, we're going to work on our little bugs, and we'll start on these two bugs here on this page, and then we'll pick up the bugs on the opposite page. And I want to do something to contrast all of the oranges and pinks. So I pulled some aqua colors, and we're going to use a silver glitter gel pen. So the colors that I pulled are light aqua and aquamarine. And what I'm going to do is color this guy here, one side of his body with the light aqua. And these details are so small, I'm not going to use like a 5-color blend like I normally would, but if somebody threw down the challenge, I would definitely try. And then I think on this side of his body, I just assume they're little boys. They might be little girls. I don't know. They might just be whatever they want to be. This is the darker aquamarine, so slightly darker, so maybe light's coming in and hitting him here. Maybe he's got a rounded back and he's not flat. And we'll take this right here. Okay, then I'm going to stripe him with the light and the dark blue, just keeping it simple. I don't want anything too crazy that detracts from the rest of the page. And then I'll just do his head light. And then for his eyes, I've got black. Then of course for his little feelers, we'll do black. And I'm just going to reinforce the black line here, and I'll do black on his legs. Okay. So this part shouldn't take too long. And we got little legs right here. Okay, now I'm going to take my silver glitter gel pen, and this is, like I said, this is from the Tan Mitt set. It's glitter silver G59, and I thought it would be fun to give him a little glitter for the spots on his back. Nothing too crazy, but just something fun. Okay, and now we'll do the same down here with this guy. I'm going to use the light on the side of him. I feel like I'm racing towards the finish line with this page. It's been a real labor of love for sure. Like I said, I did start it over Father's Day weekend, so I'm just now finishing it. I guess almost 2 weeks later. Just shows that, you know, you can spend a lot of time on some of these pages. And it's just something, you know, you should be proud of your work, and you spend all that time and pour your heart into something. No matter how it turns out and how you feel about it, I want you to be proud of it. Okay, let's see. We'll just put black right there. Then we come back and we'll stripe them again here, the little stripy stripes. Okay, and we'll just do, maybe on this one we'll add a little shading because his head's kind of a lot bigger than on the other bug. And we'll just round out that shading to show the curvature of his head. And here I'm going to add the dark turquoise, the aquamarine that is, and the black. Oh, and look, it looks like I already decided to make his feelers black on this one. So somewhere along the way, I already did that part. Whoops. All right. At least I'm consistent with how I was thinking about it. Get these little legs. Okay, and time for the sparkle. And I'm sort of trying to cover up the black outline. I might go back and outline that again because it looks like it's sort of losing. And like the dots get lost because it's almost too, I don't know. I'll have to decide. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as is. I think that's kind of cute. Okay, the next thing I want to tackle before we do the straps here are the gemstones. So for the gemstones, I'm going to tell you right off bat, I am not good at faceted gemstones, so we are going to wing it. I've pulled 4 colors. I've got Deco Pink, Process Red, I think this is Mulberry, and White. I will let you know for sure. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to pretend the light's coming in this way. And I've already got some pink from the Neocolor, so I'm just going to color the rest of that pink, and we'll leave this part right here white. And then we'll start to make maybe this piece a little darker. And because this is so tiny, I'm not going to try to be too perfect with it. Again, I really am not good at, I'm good at round gemstones, not the faceted ones, because to me it's confusing because the light bounces everywhere. So gosh, how do you know where to go with it? I know there are lots of videos out there. I just need to spend some time practicing, probably. Let me get this lighter Deco Pink to sort of smear it all together. Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point, I will speed color the rest of these for you because I think I could spend probably 30 minutes trying to color all these tiny details. So I will speed up, but again, I'm just going to vary these 3 colors on all these different surfaces, and I will be right back. Okay, I am going to go back with my black and try to outline these little circles. I think it helps make them show up a little bit better. Okay. Oop. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I might have to get a marker. It looks like my gel pen, maybe my hand smeared it a little bit. Okay, so now I've finished the gemstones and I've got out, oops, a white gel pen. I'm just gonna add some little white, a little bit more white highlights to it here and there. Okay, I think that looks good. All right, so now I'm going to pause the camera and move to the other page so we can do the bugs on the other side. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got this bug here, so we're going to use the same colors on him. We're gonna use the light aqua. let me get the aquamarine. I just think it adds a nice cool contrast to all of the warm colors on the rest of these 2 pages, just to see something just different, something that stands out. I could have, my other choice was going to be like a violet, like a cool, like maybe a Parma violet or an imperial violet, something with a bluish darker tone, or cooler darker tone. Okay, here we're going to do the same as the other guy, the other little bug. We're going to shade his face a little bit. Just to give him a little pizzazz, a little sass. Okay, now on him, I'm going to make this part, let's see, this part will be black, and I think I will make, go ahead with the aquamarine like we had before, but I'm going to make sure that that's outlined real good with the black. Okay. Do his little feelers. Uh-oh, that's okay. You know what we say. I don't care, let's move on. Oh my goodness, all right. Hopefully I can get this video uploaded today for you guys to see. And what I will do is create chapters for you so you don't have to watch. This is going to be, it's already over an hour, so you can just jump to the little sections that you want to see. So here I'll try to do the silver as much as I can within the little areas. And once that dries, I'll go back and outline it. And then the caterpillar, you guessed it, we'll just alternate the blues here. And then the last thing we have to do after this that I want to do, oops, you know what? Let me see if I can get that, is shore up any more of the Neocolors where I might want to saturate or darken some areas on the other facing page, just to make it match this page a little bit better. I think they're pretty close though. Like if I didn't do anything with it right now, I'd be really happy with it and how it turned out. I think these are 2 little legs instead of 1 leg. I almost colored that in as a leg, but I think those are 2 little legs. Okay, now let me come back here. See if I can add a little black around there. Oh, whoops. Good news is that can smear out. Okay, almost done, guys. There we go. He is good. Okay, so I'm going to pause the camera. Actually, I'll just slide this over real quick. So one thing I want to do here, make sure this is in camera, yeah, is because this is pink, I want to make this super orange over here, just to add separation from that pink. And then I need to choose a color. Let me see, but I guess we use black. Black's fine for the straps here. Oops, and look, I missed a little. We'll just color that deco pink. And again, this is just kind of a very tiny part of the bigger picture. So all these little imperfections you see as I'm coloring, I'm not going to worry about it. They're going to get lost. You notice them, or maybe you will notice them because you saw me do them, but for the most part, they'll get lost in the bigger picture when people look at it. And I could have picked out something different, maybe like a glittery, another glitter pen to use for the strap, but I'm feeling a little lazy today. So black Prismacolor pencil for the win. Okay, one thing I want to do too is preserve the line art here on his little stripes. And it's going to be a little harder over here. Okay. Got a little spot there where I smeared a little black. Yeah, okay, I think that's pretty good. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to come up to this flower and add more orange, because it definitely, at least on this side, sinks into the pink. So I'm just using my goldenrod, and I say add orange. Adding the yellow over the pink makes it a little orangey, but you can see how it really kind of makes that pretty on that background, that Neocolor background. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to take my process red and add a little bit more depth over here. Not depth. What am I saying, y'all? You know, I'm so tired today. I don't know what just ignore me. I don't even know what I'm saying or doing. Just to add a little more saturation. Okay. And probably up here too in this corner. Make it a little darker. Get that with the hot pink, because that's looking a little too pencil-y now, not watercolory. That's a new word, y'all, watercolory. And just sort of blend it all together. I just realized I'm coloring this whole thing on a camera for y'all. Let me zoom back out. There we go. I'm so sorry. So I added the processed red here and then added a little hot pink because this was looking too much like pencil strokes, and then just laid down a little goldenrod over that. So I think I'm mostly happy with this. The last thing I want to do, and then I think I'm going to call this page done, is I'm going to take my black pencil. I'm going to take this piece of paper behind here, and I'm just going to go over that edge just a little bit more. From where I use the black Neocolors, just to give it a lot more of a definitive frame. As if it didn't already. I think it does, but just a little bit more of an edge there. We'll do the same at the bottom here. Oops, that's why I have the piece of paper there. And then on this side, oops, let me grab this paper here. I'll do the same. Make sure this corner, this paper, I haven't straightened it or flattened it yet because it is buckling from the original watercolor, or the water application from the Neocolors. Okay. There you go. All right. So I think that's it. I think we can call this page done. What do you guys think? I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know, like I said, if there's an appetite for color alongs or not, but this was certainly something fun. And Amy, again, I'm glad that you asked the question on how to do this, especially because I hadn't started coloring this side of the page yet, so you could see, or you could do this whole page yourself, just following what we did over here. Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you so much. If you watched this entire video, God bless you. That's amazing. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.